Hello everyone, welcome to CTF Security. This is the second video on exploiting Metasploitable 2 services. If you are new to Metasploitable 2 framework entirely, kindly go to the description box below where you find a link to the part 1 of this video, which will teach you how to set up your Metasploitable 2 virtual machine and also how to explore and exploit the FTP services. In this video, we are going to be advancing to the next services we discovered during our port enumeration phase in the part 1 of this video, which is the SSH services. Now, what is SSH? The SSH stands for Secure Shell, and sometimes it can also be called Secure Socket Shell. The SSH is a secure protocol used as the primary means of connecting to Linux servers remotely. It provides safe and secure way of executing commands, making changes and configuring services remotely. After connecting, all commands you type in your local terminal are sent to the remote server and are being executed. So how does this work? So when you connect through SSH, you will be dropped into a shell session, which is a text-based interface where you can interact with your server. During this connection period, commands that you type into your local terminal are sent through an encrypted SSH tunnel and are executed on your servers. For an SSH connection to be established, the remote server must be running a software called the SSH daemon, which can also be abbreviated as SSHD. The SSH daemon listens for connection from client and authenticate connection requests if the user provides the correct credentials. So now talking about authentication, the client generally authenticates either using password or SSH key, which are very secure. The user's computer must have SSH client. This is a piece of software that knows how to communicate using the SSH protocols and can be given information about remote hosts to connect to, the username to use, and the credential that should be passed to authenticate. So the SSH are matching set of cryptographic keys which can be used for authentication also. Each set contains a public and a private key. The public key can be shared freely without concern, while the private key must be vigilantly guided and never exposed to anyone. So enough about the whole theoretical stuff. Let's really see how the SSH works. Let's move ourselves to our working directory, which is the Metasploitable 2. And now let's start. We have our report file and we have our word list right here. So let's say we want to make a connection to this Metasploitable 2 machine through the SSH services. And if you remember from the last exploitation we did, which will exploited the FTP service, we got some credential from a password cracking attack using Hydra, and MSF admin happens to be one of the user, and the password happens to be MSF admin also. So let's say we want to log in into this account using SSH. So all we have to do is to specify the SSH client, and we are going to specify the username of the account, which is MSF admin, and we're going to specify host name, which is 192.168.43.125. And if you're using a different port other than port 22 to listing for your SSH services, so you can easily specify. But if your SSH is running on the port 22 as default, so you could just ignore this port tag right here. So I'm just going to enter to execute that. Then we're going to give it the same password. So I'm just going to copy this and we'll just paste that right here and enter. So we are logged in as MSF admin. Let's say, who am I? So we are MSF admin. So this is how we can log in into a user account using the SSH service. So let's say we want to switch into this other account called user and the password user. We can easily use this to user. Then we'll specify user as the password, and we get into the user account. So let me go out of this directory. Who am I? We are now our user. So I'll exit this. So now let's see how we can exploit this SSH service in Metasploitable 2 machine. As you can see, this is the service right here. So we're going to be using two different methods to exploit this particular SSH service. We're going to be using Metasploit module attack, and we are also going to be using an Hydra attack, just like the attack we did on the FTP service. So we're going to be starting with the Hydra attack. On our report, we have exploiting SSH service, and the first is Hydra password cracking attack, or you can call it a dictionary attack. So we're going to be using Hydra to perform this attack. So we're going to be specifying sudo Hydra. We're going to be specifying tag L, just like we did in the first FTP service, and we're going to specify our word list. We're going to be using the word list.txt. So let me just confirm that word list. So ls, okay, we have word list.txt. So we're going to be using sudo Hydra. We're going to be using tag L word list.txt, and we're going to be using tag P to also be word list.txt, and we're going to specify our IP address, which is 192.168.43.125, and we're going to be specifying the SSH service, and I'll just hit the enter key. So we'll supply our sudo password. Okay, our attack has started, and we'll just wait for that to finish. So we have an issue. So let's see. We have 1 of 1 target completed, 0 valid password found, writing restore. Let's just try that one more time. Let's see if we're missing something wrong. 192.168.43, and we're targeting the SSH. Everything seems to be correct. Just do that again. Okay, I think something was actually blocking our dictionary attack, so I'm just going to launch that again. So now I'll specify sudo Hydra tag L, and our word list .txt, then our P tag P for the password, specify the word list, and the IP address, and our service, which is the SSH. I'm just going to launch that, and we'll just supply our sudo password and wait for the attack to complete. Okay, so we're able to get to our service through the Hydra, the MSF admin, and the user, and you can see them as SSH right here. We can now use this credential to log in. So this is the first attack method. I'm just going to document our finding into this box right here. So just make that bigger. So I'll just copy this, and I'll just paste it right here. So this is what we got using the Hydra attack. So the next attack, we're going to be using MSF console. So I'll just launch that and wait. This will take a little bit of time. So I'll just pause the video to when our program has successfully started. So we have our Metasploit framework ready. What we're going to do is we're going to search for SSH, and let's see the list of module we have. We have a lot of module right here. So I'll just make it search SSH login, if I'm correct. Okay, I think that was wrong. I think so we'll just search SSH login, and we have our module right here. So we're going to be using this auxiliary module right here. I'll just specify use 0, and there we go. The next thing is to view our option using the show options command, and we're going to see some list of parameters we are going to set, and we have this to be 1, which is already set to 5. That is the brute force speed. And we have our R hosts, so we're going to set our R host first. So I'm going to just use the set R host to 192.168.43.125, which is the IP address of our Metasploitable 2. I'll just send that. Then we need to set, okay, that has already been set. The R host has been set. Then we have R port, which has been set to port 22. Stop on success, so I'm going to set that to true. Stop. Okay, set stop on success. That is, if we find the right login credential, the brute force attack should stop. So I'll just set that to true. So the next thing we are going to set is our user file. So we're going to specify a word list and a pass file. We're going to be setting our user file and a pass file. So this is the user file and this is the pass file. So I'm going to be using our word list for the user file and the pass file. So we're going to be using the set user file to word list.txt, and we're going to be setting our pass file to word list.txt also. So I'll just show the options. Okay, I think we have everything, so I'll just exploit that. If you check right here, we have success to be MSF admin as the username, and we have MSF admin as the password. We have a UID of 1000, which is for the MSF admin, and we have the group ID of 1000 for the MSF admin. So that is the credential we found right here using the SSH login module from the Metasploitable 2 machine. So this is typically how you can exploit SSH on the Metasploitable 2 service. So I'm just going to be exiting out of this command right here. So I'll just exit that. Okay, exit. Yes. So I'll just clear this. So let's use one of these credentials to log in as SSH and see if we can actually get the SSH of the other. So I'm going to be logging in as MSF admin using the SSH. So we are going to use the SSH MSF admin at 192.168.43.125. So I'm going to be using the MSF admin password. So we are logging as MSF admin, and if I ls in this account, we have vulnerable on our desktop. So if we want to view the visible files, so we'll just use ls files, and you can see we have a lot of hidden file right here. We have the batch history, we have the dist cc, we have the gconfigs, we have the gconfig-d, we have other file right here. So we can see our SSH folder right here. So I can easily navigate to that directory. So I'll use the cd.ssh on our ls dot. So we have our authorized key right here, and we have our IDRSA, which is the private key, and we have our IDRSA pub, which is the public key. So I can easily cut our IDRSA. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, that was having an hyphen. IDRSA. Okay. So this is our private key for connecting to this particular Metasploitable tools SSH service, and we can also view our let's start again. We can also view our public key using the cat ID RSA dot pub, and this is our public key for connecting to this particular Metasploitable 2 Linux server. Let me just cd home and ls that. So cd/home and ls. So we have a list of the users on this account. We have the MSF admin, we have the service, and we have the user. So I'll cd into the user to see if I can read the private key of this user account. So just ls pals, lspals. We have an SSH folder here owned by this particular account, which is the user, and we have it to be a directory file. We have read, writable, and executable by this particular user account, and we have 000 privilege for any other user. So let me just cd into that, cd into SSH. Okay, permission denied. That is because we have 0 privilege for any user other than this particular user account. So this is how we can secure our private key so as not to be used by an intruder in the network. So I'm just going to clear this cd. Okay, and I'm just going to user, and I'll use the user account password and ls. You can use the ls pals, and we have this, and we have the SSH folder, which is readable, writable, and executable by this particular user. So I'm just going to cd into .ssh. Okay, permission denied. It is only readable and writable by the MSF admin, because we are in the MSF. Okay, so I'm just going to cd backward and cd/home/user. Okay, we are in the user directory, so I'll just ls files, and I'll just cd.ssh and ls. So we have IDDSA, and we have the IDDSA.pub, so I can easily cut IDDSA. So this is our private key for this particular user account. So let's say we have this private key and we want to log in with this particular private key. Mind you, usually once a private key is being set on a particular client system or a particular server, it's usually encrypted using a passphrase. But in the case of this Metasploitable 2, there's no passphrase for this particular private key. So the credential you need to have to log in is this particular private key and your password to your account. So I'm just going to copy this. So I'll just copy this, and I'll just exit out of Metasploitable, and can just clear this, and I can just create a file called IDDSA for the user account, and I'll just save that. I'll paste this private key in here and I will just save that. So if I ls, so we have our ID DSA user right here. So we can check the privilege. As you can see, we have the readable and writable privilege. For the owner of the file, we have the readable for the user, and we have the readable for other account. So what we need to do is to set this to only readable and writable by only the user account. So I'll just simply use the sudo change mode to 600. Then I'll specify the ID DSA user and I'll hit the enter key, then supply the sudo password. And if I ls pass once more, and we can see our ID user, and we can see it as just readable and writable by CTFsec only. So what I'm going to do now is try to SSH in using this particular private key along with this user account, which password happens to be user. So I'm just going to use the SSH. I'll use the tag I to log in with this identity which is ID DSA user, and I'm going to specify the user we want to log in through, and 192.168.43.125, and we are logging in through port 22, and I'll just enter that. So we need to supply our user password, and we just give that to be user, and we are logged in into the user account. So I can ls, so I can ls files. So you see the directory we have right here. So this is typically how we can exploit the SSH service, and how we can log in using a private key or using authenticated password from the SSH service. Hey guys, that will be all in this video. Please do subscribe and like this video, and if you have any question, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. See you in the next video.